I'm Allison Van Hooser, and I'm on a sold-out mission to develop highly successful leaders at all levels. In the 15 years I've been working throughout the food, financial, retail industries, and politics, I have become deeply aware of the powerful effects of leadership. In each episode, you will get strategies and actions you can use immediately in order to change you, your team, and your business. The question is, will you choose to own it? Will you put your stake in the ground and decide to do something with what you've learned today? This is Stake, the Leadership Podcast. Strategies you've heard that promise to help you recruit, retain, and lead great employees, but allow no room for individual customization. They likely won't work for leading the current and future workforce. Why? Our economy and diversity. The workforce is more diverse than ever, from education to experiences to expectations and so on. And in our economy, people have access to hundreds of thousands of jobs just a click away on their phones. Empirical evidence suggests that leaders who take an individualistic approach to lead their team will ultimately be much more successful than those who don't. So how do leaders know how to lead whom? The answer is storytelling and story seeking. When it comes to understanding how to lead people, stories tell you what statistics can't. Stories capture attention. They're memorable and are personal. Stories break down barriers and build bonds. Storytelling and story seeking, though, it shouldn't be random. Instead, it must be intentional. So today, I'm sharing with you 3 stories every leader needs to know about employees. The first one is defining memories. So unless something extremely significant happens, most of how we show up in the workplace is shaped by what we experienced growing up. As a child and a young adult, we learned how to build relationships, how to respond to rejection, how to achieve success, deal with conflict, work as a team, and so on. One story you might share and seek would be the story about how you or they learned their work ethic. Think about this. My husband learned from his dad that showing up and working hard, even when it's not convenient, will end up earning you experience, success, and respect for decades to come. From a leadership perspective, if an employee grew up learning a strong work ethic and realizing the benefits of that, it's a safe assumption that they'll show up with a strong work ethic throughout their time in the workforce too. On the other hand, I grew up with parents who did not work. I saw, felt, and lived the negative effects of that. I never want that for myself or my family. As a leader, if you have an employee that was dealt a tough hand and they overcame, it's likely they'll continue that same positive trajectory going forward. Now, it could be that you're interviewing a potential candidate and you ask them where or how they learned their work ethic and they have no response. This could potentially be a red flag or a sign of challenges to come from a dependability or performance perspective. Ultimately, a leader who understands an employee's past can predict and prepare for how the employee will act in the future. The second story is today's heartbeat. Many organizations do exit interviews. Fewer organizations have implemented stay interviews. It's important for leaders to know what it is that keeps an employee showing up and giving their best so you can make sure you don't stop doing what they're liking. Whether it's the way you give feedback, the flexibility of their position, the intellectual challenge, and so on. You need to understand what it is that they like. A story you might share and seek would be the story about what a perfect day in their work life would look like. Now, when you ask that question, one employee may be quick to tell you that they would come in, keep their head down, do their job, not hear or talk to anybody, and they would get to leave on time. Another employee might tell you that they'd want to be involved in many different projects, interacting with lots of different people, and wrap the day up with a one-on-one meeting with you to discuss progress. Ultimately, when they answer this question of what a perfect day in their work life would look like, you may hear little nuggets from the employee about when or how or what they need from you to stay. A leader who understands why their employees stay is more likely to never have to watch them leave. The third story to seek and share are American dreams. Do you know where you and your employee want to be in 1, 5, 10 years? If you haven't had a personal conversation about this in the past year or two, now would be a great time as we're still coming off of 2020 and just really getting into 2021. To get them to tell you a story, ask them to tell you a story about what success will look like to them after 10 more years in the organization. Now, someone may surprise you and tell you that they picture themselves becoming an entrepreneur. As a leader, you need to know if someone's not in it for the long haul. Another employee may tell you that they want to be a leader in a different department in the organization. And as their leader, that's your sign that you should start giving them opportunities to grow, as well as making time to develop the replacement when they get promoted. When a leader understands the destination, they can make plans to take roads to get their team there faster, better, stronger. You know, this story sharing and story seeking, this is the one time I say leaders should talk before they listen. If you've ever been in my comprehensive leadership development program, you know how critical it is for leaders to listen first. However, this is the one time I suggest that you should actually talk first. People are more willing to share those personal, insightful stories with people they trust. Before you jump straight into asking employees about their stories, start by sharing yours. When you intentionally open up to people about your life, they'll feel you trust them more. And in turn, they'll be more likely to feel like they can trust you more too. Thank you so much for tuning in today. For the links to everything mentioned in this episode, check out the show notes. And if you'd like more practical, tactical leadership development content, go to www.vanhooser.com for my weekly blog and all the links to my social media channels. And if it makes sense to start improving the leadership skills of your managers and supervisors, let's talk about training options for your team. Email me at allison@vanhooser.com. Leaders, make the choice today to put your stake in the ground and own your leadership success. This is Stake, the Leadership Podcast.